Hey guys, it's me, Steve WB, and if you remember from our last ventilation project in the last video, we still have this gaping problem right here. And if you saw my video from years ago of me putting out rat poison because there's so many rats in this neighborhood, you know that this hole is a gaping problem. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to go jump into CAD. I'm going to design a mini dryer vent to fit in here and to cover this up. So let's go see if we can make that happen. All right, so we're getting into Fusion 360 and we're going to go ahead and just start with a simple square. Now, here's my disclaimer. I've been teaching myself. I'm not very good at CAD. The way I do things might infuriate somebody who's actually good at it. And if you have any tips, I always welcome tips for improvement. If you want to criticize, go ahead too. But I do what I do and I get the job done. Alright, so after drawing the square, what I'm going to do is make a little 5mm circle to set up the basis for a pattern, because what I'm making is the bottom of the vent, which is the actual screen. So I'm going to use a rectangular pattern tool, and I'm just going to basically set up my pattern in a symmetrical style. So now I'm setting where I want the pattern to cover in both directions. And then I'm going to start clicking on the little clicker to add more holes until they look nice and evenly spaced out for me. Those little black dots are basically the center of holes. I forgot to click on the actual circle so it would replicate that. And it takes me a minute to figure that out, but I eventually do, and you'll be able to see my hole pattern. And I clicked it, and you can see my pattern jumping up on the screen there, and I'm just going to keep adding holes to get as many holes and as much ventilation as I can possibly get. Alright, now that I have my screen figured out, I'm going to turn the model sideways, so now I can actually draw the side profile that I want of the actual vent itself. But first, I realized I'm going to go ahead and extrude out. And basically, extruding is giving depth to the model to take it from a drawing to an actual object. And I set how thick I wanted that to be. I think I set it around 4mm. I can't remember. So now we're going to go ahead and create a new drawing. And I'm going to draw the side profile of the actual vent itself. Alright, so now I have a rough profile of what I want my vent to look like. It's going to have sharp edges, but we're going to round those later to give it a more pleasing, smoother look. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to actually extrude out that shape. So now that I've selected my new drawing, I'm going to extrude it, making it a solid object, matching it up to the base plate. I'm going to make it a new body so I can still edit it separately from my screen. And now we have our rough vent shape. So now I'm going to add another drawing to the back side, and that's going to be for the round hole where the air is going to come in. And this is on the side that's going to be basically super glued to the vent plate that I made earlier. So I'm going to make it a roughly 3 inches, 75-ish millimeters. Going to get it nice and centered. So here I am setting up my shell, setting my wall thicknesses. Basically what shelling does is it just hollows it out, and you can set how thick you want your sides to be. And I'm going with a 4mm thick shell, and now this object is hollow on the inside. And now I can do my cutout. But I also have to figure out how to unclog my vents. So what I'm going to do to unclog my vents is I'm going to select my face, my original drawing with all the holes, and I'm going to extrude that into the model. I've hidden the main body. I've just clicked a little eyeball there where you can't see it so I can see the other piece. And then with that extrusion, I'm just going to click cut. And now you can see that I've cut into that shell, and we're going to have holes all the way through now. And as I said, I am not a pro at CAD by any means. I just beat my head on the desk until I figure it out my own way. So, like I said, this might be painful for some to watch, but I'm doing the best I can with what I know. Now that we have our shell and our holes in the bottom, I can reactivate my circle here, and I can go ahead and extrude that back into the main body once again and make a cut, and that's going to give us our final cutout for our dryer vent. But I did a oopsie, I went a little too far, so I'm just going to cut it again, but just not go as far as I did the first time, and it's all fine and good. And now we actually have the main hole where the air can come in, and we have the vent where the air can come out, but hopefully block rodents and other unsightly creatures from crawling back in through our vent system. So we only have one thing left to do, and that's to put a little fillet or around the edges on the front side of this to make it look a little bit more pleasing to the eye, make it look a little more fancy. So we just select our fillet, and we're going to select all the edges that we want to make rounded. And then once we do that, we just draw out how rounded we want them, and then we just click done, and you can see that we have some nice round edges now. Now on the bottom down there, you can see that the first piece with the grill in it, I didn't round those corners, so I'm going to go back and reselect everything and flatten it out once more to come up with our final shape. So now that we rounded all the edges that we wanted rounded, it looks like a nice modern piece, and almost like I knew what I was doing, even though I don't. So now that we've fudged our way through making this new product, my new invention, my new vent guard from rodents, we're going to go ahead and take it over to the 3D printer, and we're going to print it out and see what we get. Nothing to it but to do it. All right, well, our piece that we designed is almost finished. You can see it's been printing for 5 hours and 7 minutes, and it's got 9 minutes to go, and it's all going to be done. And one thing I noticed is it kind of has this rough texture again that it had off the other printer. So I'm starting to think that this Overture PETG is maybe not the best filament, or it has to be really, really dry to use. I'm not sure, but we'll be back in just about 8 minutes to pull this thing off and see how it came out, and then we're going to go outside and install it. Yay! It's finally done. Let's clean it up. What happened at the last minute up here? But I'll sand it all down. Part of that messed up because I was filming and I put weight on the bed, which pushed the bed down a little bit, causing that little seam right there before I realized what I was doing. But whatever. Let's see how this thing came out. The supports failed in the back, but I really didn't need supports anyway. I meant to turn them off. We have our 3-inch hole for our vent line. This part is going to go up against the vent, and there's our screen that we designed in CAD. Very, very cool. I'm super excited to actually take this outside and install it. It's so cool to me, even though I do it quite often, that in this modern era in your garage, you can pull something from your brain and manufacture it all in the same day. All right, so here's our 2 different ones that I printed. This is the one I printed on the K1 Max. It looks good except for where I leaned on the bed and caused this little issue at the bottom. And then this is the one from the Snapmaker, and it looks very clean all the way around. All the details are there. So I am going to install this one just because it doesn't have the slight split in the top. So let's go ahead and get this sucker put in. Sorry for the crappy angle, but I had to hang this off the AC unit, and it's the best I could do. So you can see we have our hole right here that is slightly larger than this hole, and I'm just going to put this in, slide it up to align it, and then I'm going to super glue from the top because you know, I don't have any screw holes. I could have put some in CAD, but I think it's, since this is all 3D printed out of the same material, it's probably best just to super glue it all together and make it one solid piece. So I'm going to squeeze this in. It's a really tight fit. We'll slide this up. Makeshift stopper out of my super glue. We'll just put some super glue up here. Let it run down. I don't think I can get under here. Maybe if I squeeze all the air out. There, we got some on there. And that should do it. So I'm going to, for a quick test real quick, I'm just going to go turn on the vent, and then we'll put something under here to see if we can see the airflow. All right, I can feel the air moving. I can take this paper towel. You can see it blowing a little bit, but then for a better reference, I brought this really light bag, and you can see that it's just blowing it out of there. I don't think we could like inflate the bag. Well, there you go. It's a pretty good test right there. You can see how much air it's actually moving. Let's do it again. So, very nice. I know that was hard for you to see on camera probably, but it's inflating this bag rather quickly. So now we can finally say that this ventilation project is complete. All right, so there you have it. Another project done. We can now say we're 100% done with the ventilation project for the Snapmaker Artisan. The only thing that I'm going to have to fix in the future is how it's taped in, because in the weather here, when it hits 100 degrees, I'm sure that adhesive is going to slack off and it's going to want to fall out. So I'm going to have to figure out a mechanical bond for that. But no need to create a video for that. It's time to move on to the next project. So you guys let me know what you'd like to see. I might make some laser burnt slate coasters next, or there's a few other things around the house that need to be fixed or done that I can do with 3D printing and, you know, stay true to this new channel pivot that we're doing. So if you have any ideas of stuff that you would like to see, then go ahead and drop them down in the comments. If you like content like this, make sure you leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more to come. Till next time, I'm Steve WB, and I'm out.